Good, good morning, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome to I Want to Believe, our new YouTube channel. This will be our new community radio and YouTube station that we're going to have incorporate with different realms of the paranormal. My name is Peter Wren. I am a paranormal investigator now for coming up to 26, 27 years. I've been in, I traveled the world extensively. I've been on a number of investigations throughout the world. I'm also a co-author with Jason. I am also a producer and lead investigator for the We Want to Believe show. And I am also a documenting investigator for a all-day nexus in the Washington state.
Cool. Well said, Peter.
It was a mouthful, wasn't it?
We need an applause button. Woo!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Right? One of those air horns. Wah, wah, wah. I'm Jason Hewlett, co-founder of the Canadian Paranormal Foundation. I've been investigating since 2003, investigating with Peter since 2019, Peter? 2017, somewhere in there.
Something like that, yep.
I'm a podcaster, filmmaker, author, co-author of the book I Want to Believe that I wrote with Peter, writer, director, producer, investigator on We Want to Believe, co-host of Hunting the Haunted as well, which is on the Paranormal Network. And I think that covers everything off so far.
I think I missed a few things off my resume then as well. So, anyway.
We'll figure it out as the week.
I know. We're winging it. We're winging it. Okay.
We're winging it.
I am Kathy Rogers. I am a psychic medium. I have my own YouTube channel, Oracle Intuitions. I'm also founder of Oracle Intuitions, where I do personal readings. I'm also co-producer with Peter and Jason for the I Want to Believe channel. And I've been a paranormal investigator. I started in 2009. So my resume isn't as big as your guys's.
I know.
I need to add to it or something. I don't know.
It's an ego thing. It is.
Yeah.
It totally is. Especially being in BC as well.
Well, and the funny thing, I know for myself, most of the credentials I just threw out there are within the last 2 years. It's like suddenly this just happened. I
can just blog people with my accent, and people just go, "Yeah, whatever he said." I have no clue what he said.
He's British.
He sounds intelligent because he's British, but he's not.
You just keep talking with the accent, and then everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, him.
All right,
okay, yeah."
That makes sense.
The British are the only people who could say the phrase, "I'm going to eat your baby," and you'll be like, "Okay,
that's fine. That's fine.
Sounds great."
So this week's guest, or our pilot episode guest this week, is Brian and Chrissy. Brian and Chrissy are featured in chapter 1 of our new book, I Want to Believe, One Man's Journey to the Paranormal. Brian and Chrissy were the clients that reached out to me. I think it must be coming up to about 11 years ago in relation to activity that went on in their house. There was a number of things that went on with personal experiences with me and personal experiences with them, which had a profound effect on me in relation to how I investigated. It is probably one of the most active cases I've ever been on. So this week I've decided to bring them on so we can have a kind of a full circle on the chat in relation to both the clients and the investigator that was there at the time. So let's bring them on. Good morning, guys.
Hi, good morning.
Welcome to the show, guys. Nice to have you here.
It's wonderful to meet you both.
Yes, definitely.
It's nice
especially after hearing your story. So, like, what is that? Like last June, July? Like talking with you guys at length for the book. It's great to finally meet you and be able to talk about it face to face. Well, face to face.
Camera to camera.
Camera to camera.
So, I think it was about 11 years. It must be coming up about 11 years ago when you guys first reached out to us.
2010, I think it was.
Yeah.
Because I think our daughter was 6 months old.
8 months.
8 months.
And she's turning 11 in August.
So let's get a little bit of background about yourself. I mean, obviously, we can talk about the case and what exactly happened in your place in a minute. But your background, have you guys ever had any paranormal experiences before, or anything like that?
I have. Him not so much.
Nothing that comes to mind that stands out anything close. Yeah, not that I can remember.
What did you have?
Yeah, no, I've had a few. Nothing like the Delta House, but there were shadows, that type of thing. My dad has also experienced a lot of it too. So I don't know if it's just like a special fun gift that we have that we get harassed by things, but yeah.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah. So much fun.
So what was happening? Like what were the first things that you guys started to notice? What were your first experiences in the house?
Well,
Kind of walk us through a little bit.
He lived there before I did, so.
Yeah. So before I actually ended up going upstairs, we had the old tenant, and in one of the bedrooms, he always said he had, instances where, things seemed off. It felt like there was something there. Then when I ended up moving upstairs, there was always everybody that always came over, always said they, saw something, felt something. Whenever somebody would stay over, now this is something that happened all the time. If somebody was asleep on the couch, it would feel like somebody was sitting on your chest. You couldn't get up. And that happened to me several times. Actually, I like sleeping on the couch, fall asleep, watching TV. But it would be the worst experience because I'm trying to get up, but it's like something was on me. It was completely stopping me from moving. And it happened to probably multiple people, maybe 6, 7, 10 people.
Never happened to me because I never had the balls to sleep on the couch out there. So I didn't get to experience that one.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
There's been a couple other things other than people just kind of seeing things.
Braden, your roommate, had like issues in that one room.
Yeah. Actually, and when Braden, when he moved out, he said, make sure no kids sleep in that one room.
Okay.
So he always had experiences as well. He was in the room as the old tenant. So yeah.
And wasn't there something, from what I remember from the story, found in that room that seemed kind of like weird writing or something like that?
Yeah, he found it. That old roommate, Braden. It was on the bar of the closet.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact words of it, but it was like, I'm gonna kill you or you're gonna die or something. Which that could have been anybody really that wrote it beforehand, any old tenant. So I didn't put. It was creepy, but I didn't put much like.
Didn't think much of it.
Anybody could have wrote that there. So,
but you never know.
It's
a weird coincidence if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So what kind of brought you guys to contacting a paranormal investigation or to contact Peter? Did you guys contact anybody else before you contacted Peter, or you just kind of went to Peter?
Yeah, went
just
right to Peter. It was just things were getting weirder, worse, more sounds, the kids getting more freaked out. And then when I finally contacted Peter, it was because our baby, she saw something in the kitchen. I heard a noise. She looked, we both looked, but then she reacted
like
in a way that I've like never seen.
Yeah.
She was horrified, like climbing up my body, like trying to hide from something that I couldn't
from this
see.
Thing that she couldn't see.
And it's obviously scared the absolute crap out of me. So I jumped online right away and looked up paranormal, and Peter was the first I found. So I can't even remember if I called or messaged, honestly, in that moment. But right away, I called or messaged, and
I'm not skipping a beat.
Yeah, no, I was done.
It was funny because at that time it was one of the first few months I took over from the Vancouver Paranormal Society, and it was a bit of a transition with the team at that time as well. And the guys that every time we went over to Brian and Chris's house, there was continual change of guard of team. There was like completely different people every time we went in there, because it was just like throwing people out the door. No sooner as they joined, it was throwing people out the door and stuff like that. And it was just there was a continual rotation, and but we got there in the end. But yeah, no. So you reached out to me, and then I came out, and we obviously how many investigations did we do? I think it was about
Three.
Was it about three or four investigations?
Yeah,
I think there's
All
three
in
or
all?
four. The first time you guys came, it was really just like an interview.
yeah,
And then I
Yeah,
think there was 3 actual investigations after
Yeah.
that.
yeah. Because the first because I look back at the notes, and obviously when we interviewed you guys for the book as well, I look back at the notes as well, and there wasn't there was a couple of small things that happened in the first investigation, and then in the second investigation, the third investigation, that's when things started ramping up. So like the kind of things that happened, obviously the in relation to activity and like personal experience and stuff like that. What I remember was the very first time we was in that bedroom was the smell of smoke, which that later correlates to one of the story of who it could possibly be, that who could have been possibly been in that room at that time. There was the toy car that moved as well. We set up a trigger object, and we basically simulate a controlled environment where we put a series of toys on the floor and just drew around pieces of paper, just drew around them on pieces of paper and left them in there. And we came back, and one of the toy cars moved. And then there was there was a lot of kind of faint EVP as well, but nothing that we could really present with Brian and Chrissy. Then after that, the second, we got a name, which was Sandra. But that correlated to also as well the research you did as well, Chrissy.
Yeah. The house fire, what was it, a block or so away?
It was just it was a couple blocks away. Happened in 2006, December 12th.
Yeah, which is my birthday, which is weird.
Oh,
That is,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Did somebody pass away in that fire, or?
Yeah.
Two people did. The girl Sandra, and then a boy who was her older sister's best friend, like a family friend.
But they considered themselves brother and sister.
So I guess that's because she had said through the EVP, I think, that she was with her brother or something to that effect.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we got her name was actually Cassandra, and we actually got Sandra that came through on the as an EVP. When we first did that interview, I got the names wrong, so I had to go back and relook at the evidence we got before and the notes that I wrote as well. So there was that kind of full circle in relation to, it could be just a coincidence that the house fire was there in respect to that, or it could be the fact that there could be some connection there. But you got the smell of the smoke, which we had that smell before we even knew about the house fire, before you got that information to us. And then we got the Sandra as well, which I believe at that time we knew before we even got that.
I don't think we actually looked it up until after that second investigation when we found it out.
Yeah, exactly.
We were curious. We thought, okay, we're going to do a little bit of research, and that's when we kind of found out some more information.
Yeah.
It was
So
interesting.
you
too,
guys
doing
were like,
research
you
for the
guys
book.
already did a lot of stuff for, oh, sorry, Jason, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's right.
You guys had already done a lot of like your own research and things even before the investigation. Is that right? Like you sort of looked into some things, or was this during it?
Not the Sandra stuff, because we had no idea what to look for until that EVP where she said her name and then the fire and stuff, because that's what prompted us to look up fires in the area and everything. So other than, no, we didn't really do much.
Not really. We might have done a little bit of research,
Simply trying to find out if someone died in the house or something.
After the first investigation, but no, before that, not really.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting looking, like, once you guys sort of shared that story, like doing my own research for the book and just finding out how, like, that was a well-documented fire too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was.
really prominent,
Yeah.
and so I think that kind of really backs up everything in my mind, which lends
it
was
does.
really eerie to find that.
To
It
find
was
out
really
that
unsettling.
the girl's name was Cassandra, and the name was Sandra. This in the EVP, she was there with her brother, and it's just the way it kind of lined up. It was,
I think she'd said she was there to watch the kids.
Watch the kids.
because she was a babysitter in the news story.
Yeah.
She actually was.
Oh,
She was known in her neighborhood for actually babysitting the kids on the street.
Yeah, which is cool. I think that so often with like hauntings, you can't find too much background information, and that's what makes this one to me so fascinating and special, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was two other pieces of evidence, the pictures that I captured as well, that kind of solidified the fact that it could have been, it could have been Sandra or Cassandra. First was I got we set up that trap camera because your youngest daughter was asleep in the bed, and we put that camera above your TV, I believe, at the time, and it was pointed to the crib. And there was 3 camera shots that went off. The first one that went off, and it could be the fact that the camera could be faulty or anything like that, but there was like a white light above the bed. And then the second shot was an outline of a head.
Yeah.
Overlooking the bed, and it was just the circumference of the head. There was no hair or characteristics or anything like that, and it was looking down at the bed. And when you look at the picture, you could think it could be pareidolia and stuff like that. It could be us just looking at, because it's a very fuzzy picture, but where that image was in relation to where your bedpost was, it looked like it was in front of it, like, because you had that firm image all the way around, and there was two different characteristics to that picture that made that image of that head kind of stick out. And then also as well, the picture that came from the kitchen as well, where we set up a similar trap camera in the kitchen, and we caught that there was 2 shots in the kitchen, and then there was the white haze, which was adjacent to your fridge. Yeah. And then there was also the image of the girl with black hair sitting in the corner.
Yeah, that one freaked me out.
Yeah,
that was.
There was no one with that kind of, because originally we thought it was one of the investigators, but it didn't have the characteristics of any of the investigators that was there as well. So it was a complete full circle in correlation to what that particular incident, and there is a lot of familiarities there, and it could be like a coincidence in that respect, but there was a lot of parallels that were pointed to it.
And then I saw a girl walk past the hallway. Not when you guys were there, but I told you guys about it afterwards. But that one was...
Yeah, she thought it was...
That one was
Emma,
bad, because that wasn't misty or foggy or ghost-like. That was a solid individual walk past the hallway. And it was a girl with wet brown hair. At first, I thought it was my daughter, who didn't make sense because she's not that tall. But, at first you're like, what? So I ran in there, no, she was asleep. And then it all dawns on you like, oh my God. That wasn't good.
Can I ask a question? When you guys, with the girl and the brother, did you guys, did the brother, or is there any interaction with the brother?
Not at all.
I don't think so.
Not that I knew of.
It was more with the girl,
yeah.
Or that kind of seemed to.
The only reason we know about the girl is from the EVP.
Yeah.
Other than that, it could have been anything. That was.
And I believe it was indicated, or she mentioned she was there with her brother, but
I don't remember any
I don't think there was any contact from him.
Oh, okay.
There was another thing in the house, but I don't think it was him.
I think there was
the other thing in the house. What do you think that was, and how did it kind of manifest itself to you?
That thing had a bad feeling. The dark shadow that Peter got to experience, I don't know if feelings really mean anything, but the feelings I always got in that house was something that wasn't that scary, do the noises and the doors and stuff, but it didn't give you that dread. Blah. And then there was that shadow thing that made you want to run for your life. That gave a very bad. I have a strong feeling there was two different things going on in that house. One was not so bad, and one was more negative.
But you didn't always see it, but you'd be walking down the hallway and you can just feel it in your body, in your bones, that you know what, something's not right down this hallway. But you walk up with the hairs in the back of your neck up, and it's just, you could always feel it when it was around.
But I don't think that was the brother. I'm just guessing, so I don't know, but I don't feel like
there's actually a reason I'm asking that. And it's very interesting because as I'm listening to your case, we actually had several cases from my team here in my city consisting of an older sister and a brother who died in a fire.
Wow.
Which is why I'm asking this, because the coincidences of what I'm hearing are very similar, right? And people would experience the same thing. Mostly the interaction was with the sister, but this little guy, or the brother, had some interaction with like some of the kids, or was sort of kind of the element for people to invite them in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was interesting because, we had several cases here, which is why as I'm listening to this, I'm like, whoa. Okay. And this would have been around that time frame. It was about 10 years ago that we were doing. Yeah. So that's weird. So as I'm listening to this, it's like more and more and more. And I'm kind of like, I wonder if there was, something correlating with that, even though it could be different cities or whatever. It's just very interesting.
Well, the brother who died in the fire was older, like teen or older teen. He wasn't like a little.
Yeah.
This one was about 10, I guess. He presented at different ages, like kind of different, ages around. But I mean, it was just as I was listening, I just found it really interesting about the coincidences that were going on in there. So
no, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
When you, I'm going to back it up a bit, Brian, because you lived there before Christy, and now your mom lived there as well at some point. Like because it's a 2-story house, right?
Yeah, she when we first moved in, it was her and I downstairs in the basement, and then I think about 2006, 2007, around there, I ended up moving upstairs. So she was in the basement, and we were upstairs.
Was there activity going on prior to you going upstairs? Do you know, like with the previous tenant? I can't remember that from the story at all.
With the previous tenant, yeah. The one that was sleeping in the same room as the older daughter, but nothing downstairs.
Nothing downstairs.
Didn't have anything, right? Nothing downstairs. It was everything that ever happened was always upstairs.
The one time that your mom said something happened downstairs was one of the nights that you guys were investigating. Yeah. So the kids were downstairs with her, and she said I kept staring up at something.
Yeah,
and wouldn't stop. That's the one time she said anything ever happened downstairs.
Yeah, when I was downstairs, nothing. There's nothing.
So maybe it sounds, and I know there's no ever hard facts in this kind of profession, but it sounds a lot of it had to do because of your kids, right? Like whatever this Cassandra maybe was, because of her nature to babysit, was interested in the children and keeping an eye on them, and then whatever else this dark thing was almost was like attached to her or following her around.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
There was obviously two distinct sides of the coin in relation to your case as well. There was the obviously. That's the Sandra that came forward, and then there was that dark image as well, and that was probably one of the most memorable personal experiences I ever had in relation to ever coming face to face with anything like that in my life.
You jumped.
Familiarize everyone with the story if you haven't read the book already. So it was the last investigation, and it was like literally the last 10 minutes of the investigation before we packed up on the last case we were there. And it was just a full out of, come on guys, if you're here, something along the lines, if if you're here, please show yourself in light form, because we're going to go. And then there was that silence for about 10, 15 seconds. And I was like, okay, let's just go. So I was actually sitting by the side of the opening to your kitchen, because you had the cooker in front of the kitchen. As you walked in through the door, on your left-hand side, if memory serves me correctly,
Yes,
you had the cooker.
that's correct. Yeah.
And I remember like just my own brain, like just basically tuned into the fact that cooker hood was there and the lights was on and stuff like that. And I got up, and then there was an investigator sitting on the couch opposite, and she got up as well. And we both kind of, we stood like toe to toe with each other as she was like turning her equipment up. I got up and and she turned around and looked at the kitchen, and I looked at her first, and she just dropped all her equipment on the floor, and her face was just like. So I turned around, and as I looked round, all I could see was black. Like it was just total black, and there was no, there's no characteristics to it or anything like that. And I'm like, and then my brain starts processing almost straight away, thinking, well, hang on a minute, I should be seeing a cooker there and stuff like that. But this was like, this is like blacker than black. This was like black, you paint on the wall kind of black, where there's no tint to it or anything like that. And so I took a step back, and there was just this black mass standing there. And we were talking about earlier, because the fact being is that I don't recall seeing any characteristics there in relation to it being a man or anything like that. It definitely wasn't a young girl in relation to the size. It was slightly bigger than me, but it was just, it was just there, like that black thing. And then obviously my adrenaline kicked in, and my brain wasn't processing or anything like that. And then I stepped through it, and it disappeared. Don't ask me why or anything like that, but it just, it was just something that processed through my mind. But what was interesting about that, and I did bring that up in the book as well, everyone has this experience where, when they believe that when they walk through spirits and stuff like that, they get cold. I never felt cold. It felt to me like an electrical charge when I walked through there, kind of like when you touch a battery and stuff like that. And that's what it felt like when it disappeared. But yeah, it definitely threw me back, and it was probably one of the most memorable cases I've ever done, for sure.
How has it affected you guys? Like, now that it's so long after, like Brian and Christy, how has that affected your perception on things? And like,
definitely a believer.
Yeah. I heard words before that, but that really instilled it. But looking back, it almost seems like it wasn't us. Like I wonder why I stayed. Like why we stayed for so long. How the hell did we sleep at night? Like.
I know for myself, it's made me hyper aware of anything that's happening in this current house. And you hear a noise and you automatically, what's that? You're trying to make sense. And then actually, I think it was 3 weeks ago, we were sitting upstairs and we hear something hit the floor. And so we look downstairs, and one of the toys had actually fallen off. And we just look at it, and it fell off one of the toy things. Nobody was downstairs. And we look at each other and we're thinking, like, what was that? And we haven't really had anything.
Yeah, no. Aside from that, and a couple little times like that, there's been nothing like.
But I'm definitely
that old house was constant. It was constant. It was constant. It was never ending. There was sounds all the time, things happening all the time. It was exhausting.
Yeah.
How long did you guys stay there after the investigation?
We moved in 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
a couple of years.
I think it was because I think we did investigations. Maybe they were 3 months apart each, or something like that. And I think so. 2010, we moved. Yeah, probably about 1.5 to 2 years. We ended up staying there.
Right. Okay. And did you guys have a lot of experiences after the investigation too? Like, was it constant even after?
It seemed to get the worst around the investigation times, and then sort of die down a bit after. But there was still always something, little things. Every once in a while, you'd see that shadow thing, and there'd be noises. But it seemed to really amp up around
yeah.
the investigations. Like after Peter would leave, it'd be hell for a while.
Yeah.
Way to stir stuff up, Peter.
Yeah, no, I conjured a couple of demons while I was there as well, just to make things exciting for everyone. Okay.
We have a question coming through on the chat, and they're asking, is the house still standing? Like, did you guys sell it? And did you have any problems selling it? Do you know if they're having any trouble?
No, we have.
Go real fast, but have no idea if they're having troubles.
I drive by there every once in a while, and I'm hoping that somebody's outside instead of me just going up and knocking on the door saying, "Hey, you have any problems?" But if there's somebody outside, I would pull over and say, "So hey, just want to know if there's anything weird going on in your house." Because I'm really curious. I've even thought about writing a letter to them and then just
right.
Peter's information.
Yeah, we would love
to put his business card in there.
Yeah, a picture of me.
No,
it was this guy that said our house was haunted. Blame him, sue him.
Blame him.
Help resale value.
Yeah, no, it totally does. Okay,
I actually lived in a house next door to my parents that was very haunted. And so my parents were on one side and I was like living next to them. And so there's, I did finally approach somebody and say, hey, anything going on in that house? How was that? Because, and they were like, yeah, a couple of things, but nothing major. It wasn't like when we were there, but you're always kind of curious, like, are they having trouble too?
Yeah.
Or is it just us? Is it just me?
Yeah.
Am I the problem?
It's funny you should say that. We there was a famous house where I grew up in Surrey. There where alleged, like you hear these stories when you're growing up and things get more dramatized than what they already do. But there was a house that was originally built by a doctor, and it was basically on the borderline of the Surrey countryside. And over the years, it changed hands about 3 or 4 times because the doctor was alleged to have murdered his family. And the story was it was a continual shuffle, people moving in there and moving out. Anyway, this house was vacant for probably about 3 or 4 years before another family moved in there. And then as soon as they moved in, nothing happened. But they're still in there today. It was just totally weird. And this house was well documented in my area as well for being like the haunted house. The stories must be exaggerated, to a degree to kind of get that kind of picture of it. But it's just funny how some people, it changes of hands, and sometimes people don't, there's no acknowledgement that there's any activity there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's happened in like Enfield and the Amity. You know what I mean? Those are like
cases,
but it's just the one family, and then that's it, right? Like,
yeah. Well, this particular story is more credible than the Enfield. It actually comes from people that I actually trust, rather than just someone creating it sitting on the toilet.
Well,
we need to make a movie for you guys.
He's got a movie deal or a book deal, and they haven't done the talk show circuit, which is usually a pretty good sign too, right? Like,
yeah. Absolutely.
We do have a question. Sorry, coming in, and they were asking how old was the house, and did you guys research the previous owners at all? So, do you know if the previous owners had anything, and how old was it?
I want to say
we
the house.
did find out how old it was, but I can't.
I want to say it was like 1974, but it had been renovated. No, when the house was purchased, I was 16. I didn't research the previous owners. I did research the land to see if there was anything historical about it.
Couldn't
really find anything that would, kind of indicate anything.
We also didn't know what we were doing, trying to research too, so we weren't professionals.
Yeah. But we did try looking into it.
We did attempt to see if there was something, but
yeah.
I don't think we contacted old owners or anything to ask them.
We didn't research. We did actually research to see if if there was maybe like a death or something
to see if there was
in the
deaths
past,
or something.
but no, there was nothing, no news articles, no nothing. So yeah.
Interesting.
After we moved, the house next to it caught fire.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
I don't know if that's got anything to do with anything, but that was a little bit like, whoa.
That house. I remember that actually. It's completely rebuilt now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you moved right at the right time.
Yeah, right.
Did you do any research on it, Peter, at all, or did you guys just do like the investigation itself?
At that time, I was trying to establish foundations for my team, and it was very hard to even get people to commit. And it was we were kind of running around like off the fly of our pants every week. And at that particular time, it was the process was if we actually got evidence from an investigation, then went away and did some research after it, rather than us doing research prior to we go in there. And all that time would have been wasted for nothing, because there's no natural, there's no paranormal occurrences in there or anything like that. So, in short, no, Chrissy did the research, and it was credible research in the fact that she was able to provide the news reports as well of this particular incident that happened as well. So there's a lot of correlation to it.
Brian's like, I found that info.
I found that info.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. Mine takes credit for it.
I don't remember, to be honest. One of us found it. Both of us found it. I found pictures. pictures.
Yeah.
So you guys had news reporters, like there was news articles in regards to it? Is that
the fire? Not the fire that was a block or two away. News article.
Yeah.
Not our house.
With the girl Cassandra. Yeah.
Cool. That is pretty cool. When Peter, when you investigated, like when you guys were going through the footage, was it holy cow? Like there's another one.
Yeah, those camera shots that I caught, I got it was basically when I started collecting pieces of equipment for Vancouver Paranormal Society, and those cameras that I had weren't very credible in a lot of the pictures. It was cheap. It was like cheap, nasty stuff I got off some ghost hunting store in the middle of the state somewhere. And then a lot of times I just flick through the pictures and stuff like that, and it didn't really make you just flick through, and and I wasn't really paying much attention. It was only when I hooked up because I was living in Maple Ridge at the time. It was when I hooked up the my computer to a bigger screen. That's where it kind of poked out on me, and it was like crap. And then I was looking at it going, okay, it's just my eyes playing tricks on me, because it does, it did to a degree look like pareidolia and stuff like that, but the characteristics of the head. And then when I looked at when I saw the girl sitting in the corner of the kitchen, the first thing I thought was it was Tina, who was one of the directors of VPS at the time. I thought it was her, and it was like, no, Tina was there that night, but she didn't have her hair tied back or anything like that. She had her hair down, and we went back there as well, and she sat in the spot, and she was bigger, and Tina was in a bigger proportion than what she was, so it couldn't have been her. So at that time, it was like, okay, I've got something interesting. Let's go back there and try and eliminate the obvious, and try and before we ascertained to Brian and Chrissy, holy crap, this is what we call kind of thing.
Right.
I remember when you came by and you said, I got something to show you. Yeah, I remember
that girl sitting at the table, like that was solid. That wasn't like a misform or anything. That was a solid figure sitting there.
No, absolutely. And then I guess for me though, like I say, was that black mass. I mean, selfishly, personal experience. Unfortunately, we weren't able to validate it because everyone dropped the equipment on the floor at that time because they were so scared. But it was, definitely hand on heart, probably one of the most memorable personal experiences I ever had, for sure. And it was that validation for me will always be in my memory. Yeah,
we actually had we had a friend babysit one night, and
I think you already said this.
This is prior. So we had a friend babysit one night. And I think the kids had gone to bed, it was probably around 11 o'clock. We're close to coming home. And she saw this black mass move from our bedroom into the older daughter's bedroom.
Yeah.
So she was absolutely terrified. We got home and she says to us, I'm never going to babysit
Yes,
your
I
kids
love you
again.
kids, but
I love you guys, but
doing
I'm not doing this anymore. I stopped this thing, and she was gone. She left. That was it.
I think I sent you her voice recording during the whole interview stuff.
Yeah, you did.
You did.
Yeah.
I remember. I still have it somewhere actually. So that was something else.
That's crazy. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us in our pilot
Thank you
episode.
so much.
And thanks for everyone for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe to our new channel, I Want to Believe. And we shall be on next week with another interview. Take care, guys.
It was so nice meeting you.
Nice
Nice
meeting
meeting you
you
guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.